Okay. Excuse me. Okay, let's get to March 3rd meeting, the Commissioners meeting going with the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. Welcome to our visitors. We'll start off like normal with anyone have any public input on an agenda item? Seeing none, we'll move on to highway. Jason?
Morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
I do have one permit. Thank you. 19B Union. Thank you.
Thank you. We have one permit for NIPSCO. It's 19B in Tamarack, Union Township. It's replaced 2 poles, including overhead equipment. Union Township. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
And second?
Motion made second to approve. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Bridge number 11, we have no updates on. Bridge number 1 on Yule Trail, that has been posted, so that is out for letting. 232 work has continued this week. On Bridge 88 on 12th Road and Bridge 108, 7th Road, they're planning a field check meeting in March. When that date is actually set, I'll probably let you guys know for one of you commissioners to come out for that as well. RFPs have been sent to NDOT for the 2026-2029 bridge inspections. Mill Pond, we're waiting for the permit approvals. I'll give you guys this information. I got a letter from Kathy. She was asking if we had any interest in doing any of the PE for any of our projects. That was the NOVA calls that we just submitted,
Thank you.
and the safety ones as well. You don't have to, just something to look at and to discuss on. But it gives you
What's the
the
jargon there, Jason? What's PE?
preliminary engineering.
Okay.
So it's for the speed trailers. We also have it for the guardrail. North Michigan, which is the railroad bridge, and also Linden Road. And basically what she's requesting is if the counties would have interest in paying any of the PE 100%. You don't have to, but it's just one of those things that they're short on money and trying to extend projects, and they've sent this out to everybody that applied.
What would be the advantage to us if we would decide to do that?
I always look at you have skin in the game and you're more inclined to get.
Okay.
If you put forth something, I think they look at it if you're willing to put your own money toward that project. Personally, I think they're more inclined to give you money and assist you in doing those projects. That's just my own impression.
So if we did that, what would it look like?
You've started the project.
You what now?
You would have already started the project, so you already have that project started. So as an example, if we did Linden Road and we put in the $680,000 for Linden, on the PE side, we're committing to paying that. So then if we have to submit for another call on that project, if it's not awarded based on, you have that money in that, I think they'd be more inclined to look at it and put you at the forefront for that project.
Okay, so we'd be
They
talking
also,
about
Go ahead.
like 100% on the preliminary engineering
Yes.
then? What kind of numbers would be?
Well, they all have different dollar amounts. You don't have to do them all. You can pick and choose which ones you would want to do. Now, I would have to double check on that because you may still be awarded it, but you would just pay the PE 100% on your own. So they would still go inclined with the rest of the project. So you would still have your right-of-way utilities and construction. But the first phase of that would just be 100% on us, but they would still hold those numbers true on the rest of the project. I'd have to double check for sure on that. And that is very possible the way they would do it. Outside of that would be if we started this project already, then applied for it and we already had PE involved in it, then we would be able to use that on our application that we've already started the PE phase of it.
Okay.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Jason, if we did that scenario, then the firm, the consultant that we hired to do the PE work, they wouldn't be guaranteed we get to work with them once the award was made. They'd have to resubmit and compete with other
They would.
other folks. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned Linden Road because I went to the, excuse me, I went to the meeting with NDOT a week ago down at Fulton County, and it's over 31 interchanges, and it was Highway 10, Highway 110, 700, and all them interchanges down through there that they want to do. Of course, Culver, and basically, I was pushing back on getting something there in the south, just south of 10 to access that industrial park. Linden Road come up, I just told them point blank, we've got turned down and there's no way the county's gonna be able to swing that Linden Road on our own. So, I don't, whatever you guys think you're gonna do here, but I know, but I said, we can't swing it without help, just no way. So you need to take that into consideration. Now, there is a meeting March 13th, I think it is, at the Argus High School. I think it's at 6 o'clock. And there's going to be some, for the public, and it's going to be some of their ideas put out there on displays. They're going to have different people there to explain it to anybody's got questions before final decisions are made. But Argus is really nervous about what's going on, getting access, because, what is it, Pond on the east side, I think it is, of 31, Pond, is that Pond that goes back in there, and then Linden on the
Pond
west side?
goes, yes, yep.
Pond would be theirs. They can't do it. So, Mark Vanderweel is trying to set up a meeting, and I'll let you know when we get that with Maycock. He's got some numbers.
And
He's
to
got
my
some-
knowledge, nothing has been set in stone on what they are doing yet.
No, but you could tell that they got a certain direction they want to go. And it's not necessarily in the best interest of us. So they've got rules about how far apart these interchanges they want them. And, I argued for an interchange instead of spending all this money on Linden and Pond. Why don't you just put an interchange down there and
Right.
access that industrial park and be done with it? Because that's where the growth's going to be.
Yeah.
And that area is prime for growth in the next 20 years. So, Mark wants to push back, and the town council, I guess, of Argus wants to push back on this, see what they can get done. So just make sure everybody's aware. But that kind of goes along, I'm sorry if I interrupt you, but kind of what you're talking about.
No,
there
I mean,
with
it
Linden.
fits right into it. I mean,
Well,
it is what it is.
Yeah, I'll piggyback on that, Stan. NDOT they see these individual projects sometimes, and sometimes they don't see the big picture. And the amount of money they spent on that bridge going over that railroad track there, that they could have better spent,
Yes.
I think that this is probably an issue we ought to focus on, making sure that they understand that if they do that interchange the right way, it's gonna save a lot of money. If they do it wrong, it's gonna cost us a lot.
And Greg was there. You had
Yeah.
seen Greg walk in. Greg was there at that meeting, and there was a lot of pushback.
Yeah.
Several of us pushed back on the state, basically shutting off between 10 and 110, shutting off 31.
Yeah.
And because once you even did Linden, now you still got the railroad tracks to deal with.
Yeah.
And we can't touch a railroad, so I don't know what kind of mess that'll be.
Yeah.
So,
So Jason, if we're talking about Linden Road, so our application for the big match on that project was denied, is that right?
No,
It's, okay,
this is just, basically, they've reviewed all the applications right now, and there was over $430 million worth of total projects submitted.
Okay.
They're basically saying they got 330 million to work with. And they're just looking for the other 160 million if locals are willing to step in and try to pick up some of that and offset some of those costs.
Okay, so if we go ahead with that, because that's obviously probably the priciest thing we've got on that list, right?
Between that and the railroad bridge over Michigan,
Yeah,
551,000 would have been for the PE on the bridge, and Linden Road was 868,000.
I would hate to make a commitment for
Yeah,
$800,000
and
and
not
not get the,
Not get the award.
yeah. I couldn't imagine doing that because then we've got so much skin in the game. To move forward with that project at 100% our cost would be, I mean, we're talking what, $6-7 million?
Now, once you do I'm trying to word this correctly. If we were to go ahead and and start with the preliminary engineering side of this, if we don't get awarded the time, that would go on our next year's application, that if we submit again and be able to put that right back into the application, which would basically then take the PE out of it because we've already put that into the application. So then they would be looking at the construction inspection, and utilities, railroad, and all that into the next round.
So you're telling us the money wouldn't be spent unless we got the project, is that what you're telling us?
Well, nothing says you're going to get it. But if you start the project, I think you're a lot more inclined on the next call to be awarded funds.
Yeah. Would it be possible to set up a contract with an engineering firm to do preliminary engineering?
Well,
Just
it's
to
into the project.
Dip our toe into that without committing to $800,000?
That is the preliminary engineering for the project.
Okay, yeah. I don't know that I could,
I'd like to see I'd like to see what 31's gonna look like.
I think you're saying that you could send the signal to NDOT that we're committed to paying for a preliminary engineering, maybe contract with a consultant, have them start just a little bit of the work, but not
Right.
do the full-blown preliminary. I think that might send a signal, then make your chances a little better, but then.
yeah, that I could
Yeah,
support. I mean,
yeah.
if we were to do, say, $50,000 worth of work to get started, I could probably support that, but
When's the deadline on this, Jason?
They would like to know by the 12th, March 12th.
what are your thoughts on this, Sean? Have you seen anything like this before, or?
Well, I've not been in a position where we were encouraged to do that, but I know that when I was with the city of Plymouth, there were, some projects where we wanted to get things started, and we did fund the preliminary engineering, and then after we were awarded, then that consultant had to compete with all the other consultants to try to get the work for the final engineering work. But I would agree with Jason that, it's in a competitive field that can give you some advantage. And there is some times where your project doesn't get picked and you have to wait till the next cycle, maybe even 2 or 3 times before it actually does get picked.
And this would be the third time for Linden that we've submitted.
Where would the money come from?
This would be out of Cume Bridge.
Okay.
Now, I do know in the application that we filled out, the railroad was discussed that should be looked at for a grant, where we think we could pull a lot of that railroad cost out of this because of the different grants that are actually out there for that. That was one thing that Kathy had mentioned during our application, too. So there is a good possibility a lot of that railroad cost would come out.
Okay.
Would they give us to the 17th to look at this, think about it?
Yeah, you don't have to make a commitment today.
I'd
Like I
to
said,
wait till
they're
the-
all
I'd like-
listed, all 4 projects that we submitted for are on there.
I'd like to wait the next meeting and basically look at this.
I'm actually going a little bit farther. This is a lot of money. This is a lot of strategy about what we're going to do with our overall plan. I'd like a work session on this, and I'd like to bring Mr. Dalton in and make sure that I'd really like to look at the options on this. This is a lot of money. What do you guys think?
That'll have to happen before the 12th, March 12th.
You what?
That will have to happen before March 12th.
March 12th.
That's when they would like to know our answer for this.
I just don't think I can do it today.
No,
without looking
and like
at
I said,
it.
there's no commitments to it. I'm just putting it out there for you guys to look at and review.
I'm sure the council is going to want to take a look at this too,
Yeah,
which their next meeting's what, on the 10th?
10th.
So that'd be 2 days after that to,
Well, if we do a work session, we could invite a couple members of the council to come and take a look at that. It doesn't need to be a big public thing, but we could do a commissioner's room session on this.
oh, my question is, how can they ask questions like this when we don't even know what our highway funding budget's going to look like? Because
Yeah.
they're still trying to play with that.
Yeah.
So my concern is we throw money at it and then they turn back around on us and be like, oh, you already committed it. This is the way it's got to be now.
Yeah.
Which means I really don't want to touch Linden Road at all.
Well, yeah, like I said, and I'm kind of leaning that direction too. If we put up $800,000, we're gonna have so much skin in the game, there's gonna be a lot of pressure to move forward with that full project, whether we get funding or not.
Well, it'd be nice to know if we knew what the state was actually gonna do.
Yeah.
I'm opposed till we know what the state's gonna do. I'm not
And
saying
like I
I'd be
said,
opposed
you
to doing
have
it.
that option also on the 2 safety grants.
You what now?
You also have that option on the safety grants for the preliminary engineering side of that. So the speed trailers was 10,000
Yeah,
and the guardrail was 100,000.
I would be more inclined to be.
more inclined to go that
Yeah.
direction.
And like I said, that is a lot of money. I mean, 551,000 and 860-some thousand dollars.
Yeah.
I'd be more inclined at time to go on with the guardrail and the speed trailer. Do we have to have preliminary engineering just to buy a speed trailer?
You do. It's part of the federal aid project.
That's why they're always 30% higher.
Don't put me on the spot to ask that question because them are tough ones to answer when it comes to the PE side. But literally on the projects, you have to go through the full course of it.
Right.
I think about just doing the guardrail for now.
I can try to reach out on this and ask some questions on this that you guys just asked for like the bigger projects and just kind of get an idea of what the thought behind it is. If we were to go that route, more inclined, or is
Yeah.
that something that,
Why don't you do that? Let us know.
For the guardrail, where's that guardrail actually at?
those would be different segments for safety grant
Okay.
that we would be looking at.
Okay, so that's just generalized
It is.
where we can.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I'd be
Kind of
all
like
right
the
with that.
paint
It's-
marking, same type scenario.
Yeah.
We got hot spots on a heat map where potentially those spots are, and we're looking at replacing and fixing, or new.
We need a motion on that?
Yes, if that's what you want to do.
All right. So I would move to approve Jason's request on the guardrail projects and the speed trailer project.
And I will second that.
Motion been made and seconded to approve Jason's request that we would pick up part of the cost for the PE on the guardrail project and the speed trailer project. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And where are those funds coming from?
Cume Bridge.
Cume Bridge.
All the Cambridge?
Yep. I gotta go backwards on this. I think because the safety grants was out of LRS.
I think so.
The two bigger ones were on Cume Bridge, so the smaller ones that we were using was coming out of LRS.
Okay. Do we need to?
Yes,
put
we
that in
need
a
to
motion?
change that back to LRS for,
Amend your motion?
All right. So I make a motion to support Jason's request on the guardrails and the speed trailer coming out of local roads and streets.
yes.
I will second that.
Motion been made second to amend our motion that the money will come out of for the guardrail project and the speed trailer project will come out of local roads and streets. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Sorry about that. EV grant, I meet with the contractor today to go over the locations for the charging stations. So hopefully we can get that taken care of. Call for projects. Software equipment, our software update for the equipment. The upfront cost on that was $6,840. The yearly subscription for that was $5,690. After talking with Michael, the highway would pay the first year of that. Then Michael has already looked at that to make sure that everything's okay, legit, as far as his side of it when it comes to the safety and all that. Anyway, he confirmed everything was fine on that, and he would be able to pick up the yearly cost going forward on that software subscription.
So is this going to be a contract?
Yes.
Have you submitted that to?
It's basically, we sign for it, then we get it. It's not like a full-blown person that comes in with a contract. It's basically you're buying it online is what it is. So Michael's looked at that to proceed. Getting any of that information, they need his signature, then they would send us the information for it. So once we have that information, then I can bring that information into you and show you what it was for.
So there was no upfront cost. We just have to sign it and then they send us the information and we
Yes.
approve it?
So the way I took it is when you sign for it, you'll buy the information for $6,840. So then you'll have that yearly contract subscription that you'll pay for $5,690. And that was the cost that Michael said he would be able to take care of on computer programming.
Since that's a subscription, Sean, we probably need to approve that later on then, correct? I would think. Have you looked at it? Approved it?
Yeah, I think we did
Now, I got a quick question, Jason, because I read the email you sent to us earlier. How many computers does this cover?
This would just be for the equipment in the shop. So that would be for trucks doing diagnostics and that type of stuff. Sorry if I misled you on that, but no, this is for the equipment side of it, on being able to diagnose trucks and stuff.
Okay.
So we would be approving just to purchase the $6,840 to start with, and they send us the agreement for the yearly subscription,
Yes, and we
correct?
would go ahead and pay for everything the first year out of highway. We had already budgeted for this during our budget session.
Okay. And where's that money coming out of?
That would be out of highway.
Okay. Well, unfortunately, it's changing. You gotta have this software to repair your trucks nowadays. That's just the way it is.
It is, and it's getting worse and
Can't
worse.
get along without it. And you can't afford to take it to some dealership at a couple $100 an hour.
Yeah.
So,
Do we need a motion on this?
yeah.
All right,
please.
I move to approve the request for software in the amount of $6,840.
Second that?
Motion made second to approve the software. Upfront cost of $6,840. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Then we'll need another, I guess we'll bring the subscription back later then, prove it correct once we get it.
Okay.
Get that to Sean, will you, Jason, when you get it?
Okay, I think that's all I got. Oh, contracts.
Oh, you get them two contracts.
Did I skip over those?
The 9175, 91575, 91576 that were signed on February 21st, will you ratify those?
Yes. Those are the ones that were sent out electronic
Huh?
that you had signed.
Yeah.
So that was for the countywide striping. And that was both contracts for, I think one was construction and the other one was for
Engineering or something.
PE. Preliminary engineering was one for 54,000. And the second one was construction for $396,000. And that was for the construction.
And two numbers, Jason, or Angie, what was them two numbers, contract numbers?
91575 and 91576, but I don't know, Jason, which is which as far as your dollar amount.
DES numbers, they're the same.
Yeah, that's the contract number. I don't
So
know
it's
which,
just different phases of the project. One's the PE side and the other one's the construction
So
side.
the 91575 would be the PE?
Yeah,
Okay.
pretty sure that's how it is.
I think that's what it was.
Yep.
I need a motion to approve 91575, the contract for the PE side, and the 91576 for the 396,000 for the construction side.
And this is with the president signing on behalf of the board, is that right?
Yes.
All
please.
right. I move to approve contract 91575 with the president signing on behalf of the board.
Second that?
Motion been made to approve contract 91575 with the president signing on behalf of the board. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. And then I also need one for 91576.
I move to approve contract 91576 with the president signing on behalf of the board.
Second that?
Motion been made and seconded to approve contract 91576 with the president signing on behalf of the board. And I think this is all for the, this is for the actual construction side of the striping. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
I think that's all I got.
All you got? Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jason.
Got anything for Jason? I've got, you got anything? Jason?
I'm good.
Okay, thank you, Jason.
You're welcome.
Tom Cavanaugh. Brother Need the Workforce Board?
Yes.
Good morning. Didn't see you sneak in. Would you please state your name and title for the record, please?
Tom Cavanaugh, President and CEO of the Northern Indiana Workforce Board.
I think we met here a couple months ago.
We did. Good to
Yes.
see you again.
Go ahead.
Wanted to request the support and signature of the commission or commissioners on the chief elected official agreement that goes along with the workforce legislation here in Indiana. So we have, we as the Northern Indiana Workforce Board are designated by the state, by the governor to administer for oversight as well as fiscal, the WIOA, which is Workforce Investment and Opportunity Act funds here in our 5-county region, St. Joe, Elkhart, Plymouth, Kosciuszko, and Rochester. So we have those 5 counties that we oversee. And by Indiana law, all commissioners are to sign off on our agreement for supporting that. And there are some things that come along with that, some responsibilities. I don't think we've done a very good job as a board in bringing those responsibilities to you as commissioners or all the elected officials, but you guys are to approve our budget, you're to see our local plans, and then you're to just make sure that there's some things that we do in accordance with the law, procure youth provider, procure one-stop operator provider, those types of things. And so I think some of it is, introducing myself. I've been on the job for about 6 months. And then bringing this document that you see there as far as, what we're asking for you guys to sign on behalf and support. I'm going around now, and I've met with Elkhart County Commissioners. I've met with some of the mayors. I still have some more to go. So you're just in the process of introducing it. The best way maybe is to just, do you guys have some questions about it or about the system in general?
You talked about some new things you was wanting to look at, some streamlining and stuff. So do you have anything you
Yeah,
tell us about?
I came in and I said in my interview process, I said there's 2 things that we need to have, fiscal integrity and we need to be compliant. So the first 6 months, I'm really working on the compliance side. Fiscal integrity, we're okay. But, from there, if we have those 2 things, then we can be innovative. We can be collaborative with the different partners in our region, with the different employers in our region, and support the efforts that are going on. So we're working to not only stay in compliance, but then push the system forward and create some more collaborations and positive momentum when it comes to workforce. So in the general scheme of things, our responsibility is from an administrative and oversight perspective, but we also then hire people to run our Work One offices. We have one here in Plymouth, as we do in each of the counties, to help people get back to work and give them the skills that they need to, whether that be job search skills, whether it be support when it comes to
tuition to earn a credential, say a welding certificate or something of that nature. But then also it is to be responsive to employers. When people ask me, what do you guys do? I say, we sell talent. Our product is talent that we are going to give to employers. So the employer is the ultimate customer. And our goal is to get as many people that come to us and ask for support to get them to the employers and give them the skills they need to become more employable.
Any questions? That's kind of what we talked about that night
Yeah.
a couple months ago.
Yeah.
I kind of put you on the spot and asked you, how's this going to benefit Marshall County?
Yeah.
And
And one thing I'll say about Marshall County, I mean, you guys know what happened in Elkhart at the Martins about a month or so ago. One of the things that we've done is we have adjusted our hours in our smaller affiliate offices, which is here in Plymouth, to ensure that we have 2 staff people in the office at all times, just from a safety measure standpoint. So currently, the office went down to 3 days. Now we're down to 2 days that we're open to the public for access to and support in the offices. And that happened in Warsaw, Rochester, and here in Plymouth. So I wanted just to make sure that you guys were aware of that as well, and why.
for the record, you want to tell the public, so I've heard it come out of your mouth, where your office is at?
The office is on Adams Street. I do not know the address off the top of my head.
Health Department's at.
Health Department, yes, thank you.
Community Resource Center's correct.
Yeah.
And what's your hours?
The hours for Plymouth are Monday and Wednesday, 8:30 to 4:30.
Okay.
And if, what type of needs are addressed in that office? So if folks have, which kind of things they're looking for, what would they find there?
So there's anything, we should be able to help them from when they come in. If they don't have a job, they're dislocated, they're unemployed, whatever their case may be, whether they're a young adult or they're an adult, they can come into the office. We should be able to help facilitate a process to help them get employed. So it could be as simple as rewriting the resume, job interview skills, could just be connection to what jobs are out there, like just connecting them. I mean, there's, when we get into our older workers, a lot of them haven't looked for a job for a while, so they don't know that it's all on the internet now. It's not through the newspaper like some of us found jobs back in the day. So trying to get them connected with that, so know what employers are there, and then if they don't have a documented skill that's going to help them become more employable, then we'll see if there's a possibility that we can help them, and earn that and get that that credential that's going to make them more employable.
All right, very good.
Thank you very much. You got anything else? Anyone?
No, I think I'm good. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much. Now, we need to do a motion then to approve agreement.
This is only for one signature.
signature.
Yeah.
President.
Well, I move to approve the Economic Growth Region 2 Workforce Development Elected Officials Agreement with the president being as the signer.
Second?
Motion been made second to approve the Economic Growth Region 2 Workforce Development Elected Officials Agreement with the president signing on behalf of Marshall County. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Do you have this agreement here today?
I
or
do, yeah.
Can you get it to Angie?
Sure. You have a copy? Okay.
Have a copy?
You want me to have him sign after the meeting and
Yeah.
scan it to you?
That's
Or is
fine.
that
You can
going
just-
to
You
work?
can just scan the signature page back.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very
gentlemen.
much. Thank you. And will there be meetings, Tom?
Pardon me?
Will there be meetings then from time to time?
Yeah, I'm working on coordinating them. I'm gonna, probably the first one, we'll probably try and connect it with the MACOG meeting that happens up in
Okay.
the Mishawaka area.
Yeah.
So we'll talk, if any of you were there, I'll
Let me
have
know.
some more information then next,
Okay.
I think it's next week.
Okay, let me
All right.
know. Thank you. Next, we have Janice Holliday, Marshall County Council on Aging. Morning, Janice.
Good morning.
Would you state your name and title, please?
Janice Holliday, I'm the Executive Director of the Marshall County Council on Aging. I see a theme going on here this morning. The state also wants to ensure that you guys are aware of what we're doing as well, just like the workforce development, which I talked about last time I was here. They provided us with an oversight tool because all our funds are channeled through the county. And so now, starting in 2026, they're giving us the option of kind of skipping over the county. We can request that the funds come directly to us. I think I would prefer to keep it the way it is. So that's basically what I'm here for today, to discern whether you guys want to keep it the way it is or have the funds directly to our agency. There are still some stipulations. You would still have to sign an authorizing resolution. You still have to, well, you don't have to, but they request that you still fund the public transportation program as well. For us, it would mean if we accepted them directly, we would, I'm sure, be subject to an annual audit, independent audit, which is very costly from what I understand. We do occasionally have them, but maybe every 5 or 10 years, not every year. So that would definitely be a financial burden to us as well, I think. The second thing is, like the transparency that's here now, anybody can see any of our records. I come every quarter and explain everything to you guys. It's all, we're also part of the county audit right now, rather than having our own, although of course we have a independent CPA do our returns every year and stuff, but we don't have to do that.
So I see there's two places here to check, so I'm assuming your recommendation, so I have this right, is to continue with the pass-through agreement?
That is
The
correct.
top one? Okay.
Yes. And really, the only thing they're asking for that is that, it all came about because they're having trouble with the counties actually knowing what agencies like mine are doing with the transportation. They're not real involved, and then once you get established with county commissioners, then they might, not be elected the next time or retire or whatever, and so they have to start all over. So that's really, I think, where this is coming from the state.
So has this got 1 or 3 signatures on it?
We made it for 3, I believe.
Okay, 3. Okay, good. You know,
Well,
good sign.
I'll have to say, I do appreciate the level of transparency that the current agreement provides for, and
Yeah.
we're happy to stand alongside of you guys on your mission and making sure that it continues to be a process that is manageable for you all, so I would definitely endorse this, so.
Want to make that your motion to continue?
So I move to continue as the pass-through agency and for the county to continue to act as the grant applicant for the 2026 grant application.
I will second that.
Motion been made second to keep the procedures the same and continue with the pass-through agreement as Janice recommended. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much.
All okay?
Sandy Dotson. And we have a second reading on ordinance 2025-6.
Hello, Sandra Dodson, Treasurer.
You want to
Yes.
just, a brief
Sure.
sentence about?
I'm asking for a new ordinance to be put into place after doing research around the counties in the state of Indiana, 92 counties. It is very apparent that we're one of the few that does not charge for a mobile home permit. And what that is when they bring us the title to do either they've sold their mobile home, they have to come here to have the taxes cleared. We have to print a paper, do some, find the square footage, whatever, and complete that paperwork so that they can take their tax clearance paper and the permit to the BMV to get the title changed over. We also have to do that for moving permits as well. So I'm
We already
asking,
approved this on first reading
Yes.
last meeting, and now we're here for if you want to suspend the rules and do it on second and third. I have not heard anything from the public.
Yeah, real quick, would it be all right to say, is there anybody here that wanted to comment on this before we pass it on second and third reading? All right.
Seeing none? You was making a motion?
Oh, I move to suspend the rules and approve ordinance number 25-6 on this reading.
On second and third, right?
And second and third, yep.
I'll second that.
Motion made to suspend the rules and pass ordinance 2025-6 on second and third reading, the $10 fee for transfer of mobile home titles, correct? Did I say it correctly? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries.
Thank you. And there was some question,
There is,
I had talked to Sean about it. There, permits historically for like fee schedules are advertised. There's a 30-day window on that. There is no statutory authority to advertise this beforehand, so this can take effect immediately.
Okay,
So once we sign and record it, we'll get a copy of it, and then she can start charging for that.
okay, thank you very much.
thank you very much. Health Department, Sandy. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Sandy Dunphy, Administrator at the Marshall County Health Department. I'm here this morning to present my diaper bank agreement to the commissioners. This is an agreement we started last year with the Indiana Diaper Bank. We give them about a quarter of the cost of diapers, and then we are able to bring them back into Marshall County and distribute them throughout the community for free. We get approximately 20,000 diapers every year from them for less than $6,000. It's kind of an in-kind donation. They have been a great partner. They make it really easy for us to not have to put a lot of parameters in place to help folks. There's so many times barriers are in the way. We work with our food banks to distribute them. The St. Thomas Episcopalian Church has a non-food pantry here in Plymouth. We work with them to get them out there. When folks come into the office, we try to limit it to Marshall County residents only. There have been a few times where we have amended that rule, like maybe the child is at dad's that weekend and dad lives here in Marshall County, but the child lives in another county. So we try to keep it to that. So I just want to ask if I can move forward with an agreement for this year as well. Of course, using our Health First Indiana funding.
So how many signatures are on this agreement?
This is for the health department to sign.
Oh, so
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't have
this
to
is just
sign it?
has to be approval because the
Approved.
contracts have to
Okay.
be uploaded to Gateway.
Okay,
All right. I move to approve the Indiana Diaper Bank agreement with funds in the amount of $5,970.
I will second that.
motion made second to approve the Indiana Diaper Bank agreement for the Marshall County Health Department, an amount of $5,970. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Jenny, I just seen her walk in. There she is.
Jenny Bennett, Marshall County Clerk. I'm just here for the 12-month service agreement for our timestamp file stamp machine.
And you sent that to us. I don't remember, what was the amount, dollar amount?
$239 for an annual contract, which has been reviewed by Attorney Cerisi already, and he gave me approval to move ahead with it.
Can I ask you, I don't remember, is this for just this year, or is this?
It's
does
an
this roll
annual.
over?
I'm
Does
sorry.
this agreement roll over at the end of the year?
If we so choose to
It's
keep it
annual.
going.
It's annual for now, right?
Yeah, it's annual.
So we have to approve it every year.
I don't know, do you have to approve it every year if it doesn't change?
Automatic, Sean?
I think it was just for 12 months, so I don't recall a provision that said it automatically renewed, but
I don't see that on here.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I move to approve the agreement as presented.
I will second that.
Motion made second to approve the Hiram Hash service agreement for the clerk's office. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, we have attorney report. Sean?
Okay. So just a couple of updates. First, the county council's lawsuit against the commissioners and Tamarack Solar that was discussed at the last meeting. Shortly after your last meeting, the court in Elkhart entered an order that dismissed the case without prejudice. So that was the result that both the board and the council were looking for. So that means in the future, should there be need to delve into those agreements, that that it'd be permissible to do so. So that's concluded for now. The other matter was the Tamarack Solar's appeal of the BZA's denial of their special exception back in December. That is currently pending in Superior Court number 3. Derek Jones, the BZA attorney, had asked for some additional support in that lawsuit, and had reached out to an attorney by the name of Bob Ehrenman with a firm called Holler and Colvin out of Fort Wayne. I've worked with that firm. We have a case in our office that's on a federal appeal right now that's been going for 5 or 6 years, and worked with another attorney in that office. I've litigated against Bob before, and good attorney, knowledgeable in zoning. The BZA approved engaging Bob and his firm, and then also approved having me support Derek and Bob to the extent necessary, so long as the commissioners would pay for my services out of your normal legal budget. So they approved an engagement letter for Bob that basically said that his fees are $350 an hour. They charge up to $120 an hour for legal assistant time. And there could be, I want to say there's maybe about 20 attorneys in this firm. There could be another attorney, junior attorney that could assist. So it's a little bit unclear whether it's required for you to also approve this contract, or the BZA as a separate board can just approve that themselves. But we thought just as a kind of a show of support and to cover things, that we'd ask for your approval of that engagement letter for Holler and Colvin to represent the BZA.
All right. And just so you know, there is an additional will be going from the council to help pay for these fees.
Okay.
Whether it's going to be additional or transfer, that's up to them, but it is being brought in from the council.
All right. Well, we certainly want to stand with the BZA on this, and I appreciate the council's support, both on the legal fees for the BZA, and I'm sure we're probably going to need an additional appropriation in our account sometime before the year is over on this. It's not fun to be spending money on legal, but making sure that we're protecting the county and having the ability to execute the people's will is important, and so we want to make sure we do that. So I will move that we support the contract with the BZA and Holler Colvin attorneys.
Second.
And I'll just add that I think that, like I said, I have experience with this firm. I think the fees are in line with, the fees for attorneys in our area, this northern Indiana region, much more affordable than the fees that the previous board had engaged Ice Miller in the council litigation, and the range of fees under that agreement were between $850 and $900 and some an hour.
In the amount of over $24,000, right? Yeah.
So, while, it's never fun to be paying lawyers, both Derek and I are, a small firm, don't have other attorneys in support. So it's nice when you do have a litigation that's, has another firm with a lot of manpower behind it to have a little bit more assistance. And this seems like an affordable way to do that.
So you made a motion to.
I made a motion.
I'm sorry. Maybe. I thought I turned it off. You second that motion, Adam?
I did second it.
This guy. Motion made second, to approve the Haller Colvin agreement with it's not that funny. I'm trying to get my phone turned off here. With Attorney Ehrman. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
And that's all I have.
That's all you have? Okay. Who is? Can't get it turned off. Okay. Thank you very much. Moving on. Move on to the auditor report.
Have your February 17th minutes.
I move to approve the minutes from the February 17th meeting as presented.
Second that.
Motion made second to approve the February 17th minutes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I have your AP claims.
I move to approve the AP claims as presented.
Second.
Motion made second to approve the AP claims. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And payroll claims.
And I move to approve the payroll claims as presented.
Second.
Motion made second to approve the payroll claims. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And that's all I've got.
If you'll excuse me a second before we start, I'm going to back up 1 second, Sean. The fire department, I know we've talked about that, and I know there's a gentleman here who wants to know about it, so just
Yeah.
kind of
So-
tell everybody where we're at on that.
Yeah, so last year, the county council talked about setting aside $500,000 for public safety grants, and some of the money had been paid out at the end of last year, I think using ARPA funds.
Yeah.
There had been talk about formalizing that, and when the commissioners and the council had a joint work session a few weeks ago, there was discussion about putting some ordinances together to formalize that process. So a couple weeks ago, I drafted both a proposed ordinance for the county council and a proposed ordinance for the commissioners. I think the council's attorney, Mr. Levin, and Council President Tim Harmon have had a chance to review those, made some suggested edits to the council's resolution. But basically what it does is the council would establish a program, public safety grant program, and says that they may, from year to year, appropriate a certain amount of money toward that program. And whatever money they do appropriate, 80% of it would be designated for just kind of mandatory or automatic grants to the 8 public safety agencies throughout the county. So once that number is established, then they can each apply and get their 10% of that 80% of the pot that's set aside for that automatic funding. And then the remaining 20% would be set up for discretionary grants for capital improvements or pieces of equipment and things like that, with the idea that the council says they want the commissioners to administer that. So the ordinance that I set up for the commissioners just basically acknowledges that and says that I created some application forms and agreements that the departments could utilize to take advantage of the funding for the automatic funding, and then also application form for the discretionary grant funding, where they would basically just give a narrative of what they're trying to do, and then they'd make a presentation at one of your meetings for you to consider those. So the thought was that at the meeting of the council on, I think it's the 10th of this month, they're going to start the approval process of their ordinance, and then at your meeting on the 17th,
17th.
yeah, we'll start your ordinance. So hopefully next month sometime that can all be approved, and we can, start the process of executing those agreements with the departments and getting the funding out there.
So real quick question. Obviously, the portion of that 80% that's set aside for each department specifically, they can probably apply for those at any time, right? I would imagine that annual 20%, we probably want to put a deadline on that so we can consider those all at the same time. Does that make sense?
Yeah, we could do that. I think I wrote in there that it was a first come, first serve, or a rolling kind of thing, but we could absolutely, we're going to know in most years, I would think, that the council's going to budget whatever amount, in the summer and fall, and we'll know by the first of the year what that is, and we could set a deadline of, the first quarter or whatever you think appropriate. So, maybe we just, if you have some ideas about that, or after we get it on first reading at the next meeting, you all can have some discussion and we can amend it before final adoption.
Okay.
Okay, you satisfied with that?
Yep.
Okay. Moving on, we'll go to the public comments. Anyone here have any public comments about anything on their mind affecting the county? I think we addressed the one. We did. I was going to call you. I apologize. I forgot. So, let you know. Any public comments? Seeing none, we'll move on. Commissioner items, number one is the Bowen building purchase. Sean,
Yes.
you want to give us an update where we're at on that?
Yeah, so we've come to the final terms of the documents for the purchase of the building. We'd like to get your approval of entering into the purchase agreement and authorizing Stan to sign that and the subsequent documents to get to closing on your behalf. And I think that I understand that the meeting next week, that Sandy will be there to make some, no? Are there some transfers that need to be made of money, or?
Come on up, Sandy.
Hi, Sandy Dunphy, Administrator, Marshall County Health Department. I will not be at the meeting next week because I will be in God's country out in Tucson.
All right.
A vacation I cannot wait to get. No offense to y'all, but, you know. I will have at that meeting, though, the board meeting minutes signed by our board, which it was a unanimous vote after lengthy conversation, which I appreciate, though, Stan and Sean for coming to our meeting, but we're all on the same page now. I'm going to see if Dr. Holland will at least show up and represent us that night. I think he will. He doesn't like to do that, but he will, I hope. But yes, that's what we're waiting on. And then, yeah, the appropriations have already been made. We're ready to go.
Yeah, so they just need to get the money in the right funds so that we are ready to go with it. And so the idea would be after your approval today, I can meet with Stan, get the documents signed. We'll get those off to Bowen's attorney and then work with, we're planning a closing utilizing McKesson Title here in town. And hopefully we can get that set sometime later in the month, anytime after the council meeting. I'm not sure if that'll be an in-person closing or if, with Bowen's executives being in other places, if it would just be a remote thing where things are signed. And then we'll work with Sandra Dotson, the treasurer, to arrange for the wire of the purchase funds.
I have one question. Do we want to sign that contract before the council approves it? Because the way I take it, we're talking about signing that. I feel more comfortable we signed it as soon as the council approves it.
Yeah, that's fine. That makes sense.
After the 10th.
Sure.
Well, we know the money. I mean, I'm sure they're going to approve it. I don't have any issue with that. But, I mean, I didn't want to be on the safe side.
Are you wanting to do a motion to approve your signature
Yeah,
pending the?
that's what we'll have to do.
Okay, that's fine. I just want
Yeah.
to make sure we get a motion in there somewhere to sign.
All right. And just for the record, what are the basic terms of the purchase?
Yeah, so that will be a payment of $250,000 at the time of closing, and then payments of $100,000 1 year from the date of closing, and then another $100,000 2 years from the date of closing. So a total purchase price of $450,000.
It's a heck of a deal.
Yep. Any way you look at it.
Yeah. So I move to approve the purchase of the former Bowen building in the amount of $450,000 as presented, pending the approval of the council on funding.
And authorizing Stan to sign on your behalf all the
Purchase agreement.
all the purchase agreements and necessary documents.
So moved.
Second. Motion been second to approve the contract for the purchase of what we call the Bowen building, with myself signing on behalf of the board, all the paperwork. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
All right.
There you go, one step closer. Thank you. Hyperwave. Michael, Dan? Please state your name and titles for the record, please.
Dan Sammartano with Hyperwave.
Michael Marshall, IT Director.
So you got a contract here. You want to tell us a little bit about it so everybody knows?
Our VoIP services contract is up for renewal. We did a 3-year term on it last time, so it's that time to renew it again. That contract in its entirety has not changed. We are not changing pricing. We are not changing anything with that at all. Everything is staying as is. And is there anything VoIP-related. No, that one's pretty cut and dry. So the services are maintaining the same as they have been for the past 3 years. That's the first contract. The other one is the IT services contract that was signed for us to do work here, as well as establish a discounted tiered rate for you guys to use our services. Which the only change to that contract is we will be doing a flat rate of $100 per hour now. We had some tiered pricing previously, and it ended up being a little bit cumbersome to try and differentiate between which IT duties were different tiered rates. So we went with a flat rate price right down the middle to make sure things were more even across the board, so.
Any questions? Michael, you got anything you want to add?
No, we've been utilizing Hyperwave for some years now and very satisfied with the services we're receiving for the cost. It's very cost effective for the county. As you guys are aware, my office is very small for the size of the enterprise that we have here that we're trying to support. And so utilizing Hyperwave has been a huge, huge help. And going forward, I don't see any reason to not.
Okay.
All right.
And this only has one signature.
Okay. It's two different contracts,
Two
though,
different
right? Yep.
contracts.
Contracts, each contract with one signature.
All right. And just for the folks at home, VoIP is basically phone service, right?
Correct.
Yep. All right. Well, I move that we approve the VoIP contract for renewal with Hyperwave as presented.
Second for both of them?
Just on the VoIP.
Okay. Motion made second to approve the contract with Hyperwave. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
And then I'll move we approve the Hyperwave IT services agreement as presented.
Second. Motion made and seconded to approve the Hyperwave IT services agreement. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I just want to say thank you too, because every time I have to call over there, I get very prompt service and somebody's right down here on it. So
Well, we appreciate that.
thank you very much.
We've got a great person who answers the phone most of the time, and she's sitting right there.
The new mother.
That's right. Thank you.
Thank you. Last thing we have on the, under commissioner items is the Oliver prepay. We purchased a truck here a few weeks ago. I was notified that truck is going to be built the week of the 17th. Since we have the one crashed, I'd like to get that truck as soon as possible when it comes in. The prepay will be for the amount of, we did not get the bed line. I didn't order the bed liner. So the other three plus the 46,433 comes to a total of $47,635. I would like to go ahead and have a prepay so Angie can have the check ready when that truck comes in. We can get it and get it in service.
Okay. And we don't need to sign this at all, right? Just need to.
No, we just need
okay.
to approve it.
All right, then I move that we approve prepayment of the purchase of the 2025 Ford F-250 regular cab in the amount of $47,635.
Second. Motion been made to approve the Oliver Ford prepay for the amount of $47,635. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Anyone have anything else I've missed? Madam Auditor, you have anything I've missed?
I don't think so.
Can I open a can of worms?
Go ahead.
Yesterday, I was contacted by a constituent on Lake Latonka.
Oh.
And I don't know how wide the perception is amongst the public in that area. I don't know how you could have missed the conversation 2 years ago about the establishment of the sewer district, but she was quite concerned about all of the implications around the building of the sewer system down there. So I went back and looked at their most recent meeting of the sewer board. I know that we appoint, 5 of the 7 members of that board. I also believe we have an appointment coming up that's expiring here in a couple of months. I think Mrs. Palmer's appointment is due for review here at, was it in May or?
Can't tell you the date, but it's a couple
In
months, I
the
think.
next couple of months. Listen to their meeting. They are applying for some grants, but they've also said that the availability of those grants is significantly diminished in recent years. And as we know, about what's going on in Washington. There are going to be a lot of cuts probably to a lot of these programs. If they don't receive grants, they are anticipating charges for that service to be in the neighborhood of $220 per month per household. $220 a month, which is double what I pay for my bill in Culver. And so the discussion was held amongst the board. One of the members asked the question, if we don't get the grants, do we still go forward with this project? Because with the grants, the bill would be about half if they were to receive all the grants that they're applying for. And then the response was, that's a decision this board is going to have to make. So they have not made a decision about whether or not they'll move forward with this project pending the grants. They have already incurred $500,000 in debt at the beginning of this project. And I don't know what the answer is to this question, but if that sewer district, they've borrowed $3 million. If they choose not to move forward with this project, who is on the line for the debt that they've incurred? And I don't know that you know the answer to this question yet, but I've got some big concerns about that. I think it's irresponsible to have incurred $500,000 worth of debt before you answer a basic question like that. And so I know that, like I said, 5 of those board members are appointed by this board. I would like to have the president of that board come and make a presentation to the council and the commissioners to update us on where they stand, and just to make sure that we're providing proper oversight. Yeah, it's concerning to me.
Considering they're an independent board, do we even have the ability of any type of oversight over that? Because I think they gave that power away to the board. We can say nothing about this. They're fully independent, if I remember correctly, how they set that up.
Yeah.
They are. I don't know who's on the hook for that money if it doesn't go forward.
I don't know anything about it. I think the answer would probably be in was it a bond issuance or something like that? Or?
They did.
Okay,
Yes, they
yeah,
applied
so,
for it. They took up.
I mean, I would guess that the bond would be structured that it was anticipated to, like, the first couple of years there aren't any payments, and then they're anticipating revenues from the system once it's operational that would pay for the funds for the bond debt service, but I'm not sure about that. I wouldn't anticipate that it would be you if you having no input in the issuance process.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, one of the big concerns for me when we set this up, and I know Mr. Harmon and I voted against this when it came before the council, was it almost 3 years ago now?
Yeah.
That it's an appointed board. And so the people in that area don't have any input on who represents them there. This board controls who serves on that board. Yeah. So, like I said, I don't know the answer to those questions. I wanted to share those constituent concerns, and then my concern about, that I think they've really put the cart before the horse on this project, and I hope that it doesn't become a mess.
I would agree with Adam's statement that it's an independent board, but to the extent that, and I haven't reviewed these details of the statutory structure, most boards that are independent are, once you appoint the members, that they serve for a term and only can be removed for cause type of thing. But given the fact that, you appoint the majority of it, I think you certainly have a say, or should be, if you have concerns, to engage with your appointees, and they, I would think, would be responsive and willing to come and, talk about what they're doing, so.
Yeah.
Or vice versa, you guys could come to one of their meetings. I think they are holding monthly meetings now.
Yeah.
I can't seem to stay out of trouble, so I'm going to go ahead and say it. I've looked at this, what they've done, and a couple of these, there was no bidding process. Now, let me be perfectly clear, nobody did anything illegal, nobody did anything wrong. But there was no bid process for some of these services. we've already determined as a board here, that we're not gonna pay the fees some of these people charge. We can get it done for cheaper.
Yeah.
That is my concern, that, maybe it wouldn't have to been a $500,000 expense to get to where they're at now if,
Yeah.
if things would have been
Yeah.
looked at differently.
Yeah.
So-
From what I can tell, they're paying Baker Tilly $6,000 a month to do their financial reporting. They hired Ice Miller as their attorney, and we know what they cost.
We just processed that bill, you know,
So, yeah.
so I guess.
Would it be, I know I don't have the best relationship with that board right now. Mr. Falstich, would you be willing to reach out to those folks and see if we can get some sort of an update from them, or?
Yes, I can do that.
You're probably the only one here without a belligerent history with some of the people on that board, so.
I just think, yeah, I just think there's some things that should be looked at. But again, we have no say, we have no skin in the game, we have no say, other than the appointments.
Yeah.
So,
And I guess my big concern about that is now that they've incurred all this debt, it puts a tremendous amount of pressure on them to move forward with the project, whether or not it makes financial sense. You know, they now have to put ratepayers on the hook in order to pay off this $500,000. And probably before they break ground, it's going to be several other $100,000.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, though. There is the ability for those whose septic systems are still in good condition to get up to 2 waivers, correct?
That's correct.
2 10-year waivers, or is
Yeah.
it 1 10, then a 5 every?
I think they're multiple 5-year waivers, I believe.
I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
I can't say all the terms, but I think that's what it was.
And I think there's large properties, like over 10 acres, can get some exemptions to not
Yeah.
participate as well.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and so my other concern is if these folks can opt out by getting waivers, how much higher does the bill have to go for the people who don't in order to pay for this project? So,
I don't think there's that many 10-acre parcels out there
Yeah.
around that lake that's gonna be able to opt out, but, you still have some of them done there. The problem is, most people, if their system fails, do not have an option.
Yeah.
Period.
yeah.
They just don't have an option. So, and that was the idea behind doing this, but yes,
but if I remember right, you can replace a septic system for around $10,000. Is that right, or is it
Anymore.
maybe a little bit more than
not
that?
anymore. No, not anymore. You're talking, especially most of these now are mounds, and they're talking $25,000 to $30,000.
Yeah.
Nowadays.
Yeah, but still at $220 a month, that's, you can pay that off, you can pay off a system in 5 years. They're gonna be bonded for 20, 25 years at $20 or $220 a month.
The problem is gonna be is where their well's located versus where their leach field is. And the problem around the lakes is
Yeah.
The lots are
they
too
built,
small.
they built so many homes so close together, there's nowhere to move.
Yeah,
And you can't in some cases, you can't reuse a leach field.
yeah, so,
So it is a darned if you do, darned if you don't
yeah.
kind of scenario.
Yeah. So like I said, I don't know what the answer is. I just know that the customer or the citizen had a concern, and it was, after looking into it, it was frightening how much money's being spent right now. So
Anything else?
that's all I've got.
Oh, I got a couple things. Figure if you're going to open Pandora's box, we might as well go down the rabbit hole, right? I was hoping to make it to 90 days before I started throwing some of these ideas out, but since you broke the mold, might as well. There's a couple ideas I'd like to float by everyone here, just kind of looking at things. How many days has it been now since we've been commissioners, Jesse? About 50?
60-some, yeah.
Okay. So a couple of things I'd like to float by, or kind of float a couple ideas is, from my experience, whenever there's been new leadership within an organization, sometimes a lot of places like to get involved or put out an employee climate survey to kind of get an actual pulse of how your employees are feeling, things that they see that need to be corrected, things that they see that might need to be improved, items we may never even hear about or recognize that might be broken or needs some attention. I'd like to do something like that, kind of get a feel for where we are as an organization as far as the county employees go. That's my first idea for your consideration. And of course, I'd like input from the council too. See what they think about this, because they might have to fund it, of course. The next thing, just kind of looking as our organization as a whole. And of course, sometimes in the public realm, our public employees get beat on pretty good. And kind of taking an objective view of all of our processes in whole, sometimes you got to sit back and kind of look at how things were ran before, kind of where are we going. And I got thinking about it, and you see enough stuff float across social media and people get beat on. I have to ask the question, as commissioners, have we given our employees all the tools they need to succeed? And I'm talking in the realm of soft skills, professional training, maybe leadership professional training. We already started with the conflict resolution for our department heads. I would like to possibly take a look like that if you guys are on board with it, see what our department heads might think about that, because ideally we get a county employee in young and then kind of progress them through career-wise and keep them as a county employee. If we're not putting the professional development back into them, it's kind of turned it from, it kind of takes away a career aspect as being a government employee, and it just turns it into a job.
Yeah.
And as most of us probably in this room at some point in time, we've all worked just a regular job versus a career. And working a regular job, you clock in, clock out. There's not, for me, it's never been a real fulfilling thing. And then you're off looking for something else that actually has that aspect to it. All right, next thing. All right, got that. Looking through the employee handbook, I've noticed we do not have a fraternization policy in there. And just in keeping with, or kind of helping, I guess, good order and morale within departments within the county, I don't think it would be a bad idea to put a fraternization policy in there. It's not to be punitive or anything like that. It's to make sure, it's never a good situation when a supervisor or their subordinate have a romantic relationship of some sort, to where if something like that happens, I think it'd be prudent, maybe a lateral move.
Yeah.
Just to keep things on the up and up.
Yeah, there's all kinds of exposure that the county could suffer from something like that, yeah.
Sometimes relationships get ugly.
Yeah.
And I think it'd be prudent of us to have something in place to potentially avoid that scenario. And, oops, I think I'm finally on my last one. And that was taking a look at the Randolph Bridge situation we had going on. I know that was high visibility, kind of a no crap kind of moment. But as possible solutions to prevent something like that happening in the future, I would like to suggest because correct me if I'm wrong, but it is a requirement that you have engineering firms come in and do those inspections, correct?
Right.
Which would prevent us from hiring our own engineer and doing it on our own. So unfortunately, not unfortunately, I've seen it before professionally. If you have the same person doing the same thing over and over and over, sometimes you get complacency, and sometimes they may not be as in tuned, or for lack of a better word, they may get lackadaisical and not maybe thoroughly do their job. So what I'd like to propose is we rotate different engineering firms taking a look at these bridges through the years, to where no one bridge has the same firm looking at them in consecutive years. And if the status of the bridge is the status of the bridge, regardless of what engineering firm might be inspecting them. The data should pan out. So if a bridge is bad, a bridge is bad. If it's good, it's good. But there'll be consistency in data, or should be consistency in data, regardless of what engineering firm inspects the bridge. But I think it might be prudent of us to rotate those through to where you don't have back-to-back years of the same company inspecting it. And I will hop off my soapbox now, and just kind of, well, there's two more things. Sorry. Or informational things, not really. I've seen a lot of stuff about Brightspeed, and their government rep had tried reaching out to us before. I'm going to be scheduling a follow-up call with them, kind of find out what's going on, because the every 3-week rotation of 911 service being out in the county probably isn't a very good thing. I'd kind of like some answers on that. And now I'm done.
You're on a roll. To answer a couple of them a little bit, the first employee feedback, we used to have boxes here, and I think they're still here, one in each building. It was basically for safety committees and stuff, but we were getting some of that feedback. So there is, there was a way to get some of that feedback. I'm not saying your way's not better, but.
While you're on that topic, Stan, in one of my previous employment situations, we did have an employee climate survey. I think in some situations where you've got a very small team, it's difficult to be transparent about those sort of things, because even if it's anonymous, it's people know who you are based on how you answer your responses. But I did think it was still a very valuable opportunity, and it's something that
I'm not opposed. I'm just saying we did have some of that. So, and as far as the skills training, what you're talking about, your second one, we just did, and there's a whole list, and Bliss McKnight will do a lot of that training for us. And matter of fact, we're going to hopefully before the end of the year set up one for our department heads to learn how to do their evaluations of their employees. Give them some training on that. So hopefully get that done before the end of the year, maybe late summer. So as far as the rest of them, bridge rotation, that's something we can always look at. I mean, I don't know exactly how that is handled. So.
Just as a whole, Stan, do you have any reference of when the employee handbook was last kind of looked at or revised?
Years ago.
Okay, that's pretty recent.
It gets, Angie, am I correct? Was it a couple years ago?
It's updated every year.
Oh, okay.
Or every 2 years, there's updates that go into it. And I don't see Jennifer,
Yeah,
I think
she's
she went back to her
left.
office. But there are things that are updated in it. We use Wagner, Irwin, and Shealy, which has been a huge help to keep us out of trouble when we're writing those policies, to make sure that in a county government setting, that it can be feasible to do those policies.
Yeah.
And I know every time there's a question, Jennifer, before we make a move, a lot of times is contacting Wagner WIS to make sure we're staying within the handbook.
Yeah.
And from time to time, they do update, certain specific instances in the handbook. Now, we haven't done anything lately, but we have before.
You
So,
just updated it in January.
this
Or
year?
at the end of last year, you updated it to add a social media policy
we have
for
social media,
everyone.
but we do add
there
these
are
policies.
but every 2 years, there's an ordinance passed or approved to update the entire handbook, and then there are pieces that get updated as we go along if there's something that needs to be addressed.
But your fraternization policy I'm sure Wagner or Shealy's got something to address that.
Yeah.
That's something that could be easily added.
I'd like to empower Mr. Falstich to pursue that and get that process initiated. Obviously, we'd have to go through a full process and bring that policy for review, but I make the motion to empower Mr. Falstich to start that process.
I would second that and advise him to just contact HR and get the process started.
Yep.
And see what other counties are doing and see what WIS would say about it, what their recommendations would be.
Would it be bad to say I can already forward that over to her? Okay, well,
We've got a motion.
We got it.
Second.
I second it. Well, go ahead.
okay, second.
Motion made second.
I will.
Motion made second, go ahead and forward this to HR and ask them to pursue see what a fraternization policy would look like, what recommendations there would be. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
And I did forget one thing.
Go ahead.
All right, the thing I forgot here is, as far as suggestions go, kind of given with the trend federally and kind of what they're trying to start to do down the state with accountability and things like that, I would like to throw out the suggestion, and of course, I'd like the council's input on this, for those organizations that are not directly related to normal government business, I would like to ask them to provide us with their administrative overhead cost and to allow us to have annual audits or do an annual audit with them. And that kind of keeps us in line with how we get audited anyway when it comes to taxpayer money. But it's transparency, and I could potentially see it would protect them. It protects us, and I could see possibly the potential of something like this coming down the pipeline anyway.
So,
Who are you proposing to do the audit?
We could have Senator Dalton do it. It wouldn't, unless you'd like to do it.
No.
I already knew the answer to that one.
I audit every other department in the county when we're getting the claims and running through that process, so I have enough on my plate to do that.
I'm just joking.
Yeah, no.
Potentially Senator Dalton, or
so that sounds to me like the drafting of an ordinance.
it would be in that. I'd definitely like the input on the council and their thoughts on it. They might think the idea stinks. Who knows?
So just to
But,
clarify, you're saying if I understand you correctly, you're saying anybody that we give money to, we reserve the right to know where that money's going and if audit is needed? Is that what you're saying?
I wouldn't.
Not that we would annually audit them, but that they would agree to.
Being open the books, hey, this is what's going on, and it's just a level of transparency. And then, again, that offers a layer of protection for them also, because if anybody comes at them sideways trying to accuse them of stuff, it'd be like, nope, I'm clean. Look.
Yep. And I like that idea. I'm actually going to make a motion on that we initiate the process to draft an ordinance that would require that of recipients. And we may need to present that to the council for their feedback before we approve it, but I'd like to start that process, and I make that motion.
Sean, before we go any farther, what do you think about that? I mean, I don't think it's a bad idea. What's you got any thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's, there's probably a way to do it that would meet the needs that you have and also the needs of some of the organizations. I think I can see some of the organizations that are, nonprofits and things like that, don't want to disclose the identity of their donors and things like that, that could make sense, where, lots of people want to be anonymous when they give gifts to things. And so, I mean, there's probably a way to, where you're satisfied that your money is being well used by, engaging with that organization, but doesn't imperil their ability to do what they're doing because now everything is fully an open book. But I think we could work through that in a way that would make sense for everybody.
Well, and I think there would need to be some higher level of scrutiny for organizations which we participated in the formation of. And so if we're a signature to the creation of this organization and we appoint members to their board, I think that should have a higher level of scrutiny. Does that make sense?
We are passing out taxpayer dollars, so we need to know where they're going. Be responsible, so.
Yeah.
So you made a motion to.
I've made the motion.
Start that process to look at it?
I'll second that.
Motion made second to start the process to look at a potential ordinance for, to allow us to determine where our tax dollars are going, what they're being used for. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries.
That was a lot of extra overtime there.
You got a can of worms, anybody wants to open it?
We're right at 10 o'clock.
I've got one more quick thing, which I think should be simple, easy, and non-controversial. I've spoken with Jason for a number of years about creating a constituent interface landing page for the highway department that can answer frequently asked questions about the highway processes and things like that. I've talked to one person who may be willing to do that project. I just wanted to give you guys a heads up on that and get your blessing to investigate that further. And before I would make any commitments and look at any money, obviously we would come back to that. But I just wanted to give you an update on that. I think it's we get the same 10 or 15 questions all the time. When we answer those questions over the phone, it's difficult to help people really understand the explanation. And so I was hoping to get some photos and some video on the things that people typically see out on the roads so that they can really understand what's happening and what the timelines are on those things.
I'm glad you brought that up real quick, because road school
Yeah.
on the, 17th and 18th? Do we need to make a motion and approve us going to that?
No,
We do not?
no. It's always, you go through Jason, get signed up if you want.
Okay.
Yep.
Beeping again. Got anything else?
That's all I've got.
No, I promise, I'm done.
Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made, second adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Signatures.